Guys, I know that some of you may be aware that Kakegurui is getting another live action adaptation, but this goes beyond how, butchered the live action goes. There are some political themes going on regarding the themes of the story, right? Gambling, and if you lose at gambling, you become a slave. But, they're also including characters who have a cultural connection to such abhorrent things, and I don't think they're really thinking this thought process out. This is disrespectful to all anime and manga fans to use anime for political agenda pushing. Oh boy, Chibi, give it to me.
Rota is seen losing in a game of poker against Mary, and lost his social status and became indebted to her, as well as becoming her personal pet in the process.
Yo, for free? So you telling me that I go into debt and I become a hot girl's pet? Shouldn't I be paying money for that service? I feel like this is a great deal, guys.
And as a punishment, is treated as a slave by his schoolmates.
Punishment? Again, to some people with different type of taste. This is service that you would pay for.
He is used as a stool by Mary and is desperate.
So you're telling me that bro literally gets on all fours and the girl sits on him? Again, these are very... This is like the fantasy for maso people. They will literally pay dominatrix for these kind of services. To think that we lost money and we get this on top of it, man, what a great story.
What did Netflix mean by this when they didn't do it just once, but they did it twice with characters of Kakegurui?
Oh boy, that's another one. Hold up, this is the stool right here. That's crazy, bro. Dude, oh my. So I don't want to just like guess the ethnicity of this actor playing, the blonde girl in the show, but clearly they are of darker complexion. One could assume that they are maybe African American. To have that happen in a show like this with the themes of slavery is kind of fucking insane, don't you think so?
He did it twice with characters of Kakegurui, changing them from Asian characters to a person of color, and actually having them in a position where they are basically
crazy,
slaves.
That's
and when you take a
crazy,
hard
bro.
look at the trailer of the live action of Kakegurui, you actually start to see things that
What is this trailer? I thought we already checked the trailer out. What is this? What the hell is this?
more or less hint at what this story is going to be mostly about. Now, I don't like to go...
Are they not self-aware? No, I think they are very self-aware. I think they are. And the reason I bring, them being self-aware is because of stuff like this. Harry Potter, the new movie, Severus Snape. Do you guys understand what they've been doing recently? They are literally casting a black person in the role as Severus Snape. And there's nothing wrong with having a black person being in a movie, right? Like what are we talking about here? But here's the issue. The issue is when the story has literally a description of Severus Snape being like a very pale and, a very mysterious and cunning person. On top of that, if you've seen Harry Potter, this is the one person everyone is very suspicious about. At the very end, little bit spoilers, we learned that he's not a bad guy. But over so many years and movies and books, it is foreshadowed that this guy is such a snake. This guy is someone to be suspicious and be wary about. And now they literally have that character intentionally be black in order to create outrage from the fans. Because think about this, so what? Oh, hey, Ronald Weasley and Harry Potter, they're just hanging out. Oh, and then Ronald's gonna be like, hey, Harry, what do you think about our new teacher? And they're gonna be like, I don't know, bro, that guy's kind of sus. He's like, why? Why do you think that the only black person in this movie is sus? Do you see how this goes? It is clearly their intent to try and create outrage by casting peoples of color in these roles where it's going to create controversy in order for people to talk about it. And they think that this kind of negative engagement, this rage baiting, will actually be helpful to them. I straight up think that's what's happening. They're being tokenized. This is not actual representation of black people in movies. They're being used as pawns, as tools in an overall grander scheme in a political agenda, which also, again, is so disingenuous and is trying to just, again, get cheap engagement through it. That's my opinion of what's happening here.
Down this this route of conversation, but it's very clear what's going on now with the live action of Kakegurui. It's being used as a vessel for a political message, or it seems to be that.
Well, what would the political message here be, though, right? Because if they were trying to be like what is the political message? I don't think there really is a political message per se. It's more of utilizing the outrage that's going to obviously happen by casting a black person in a role where there's literal slaves in it, and only they are the slaves. Like, what the fuck is that, right? I think they're just trying to, again, just make people upset and angry. Maybe it's supposed to be like if there was supposed to be any sort of positive outcome from this, maybe they could have, like, I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
Could be wrong. I could be looking too deep into it, but there is definitely correlation with changing the characters from, let's say, an Asian character.
Like this is absolutely intentional, right? This is not just like a random thing that just happened.
And putting a person of color in a position of enslavement and having it not just happen with one character, but multiple characters, and then having literally a scene within the trailer like this. Like, you're not...
Yeah, the political message, I think, is literally like slavery is bad, but like everyone already knows that, right? And this is very disingenuous to try to like make a movie and you think the core theme of this show is that slavery is bad by having like tokenized black people to represent these roles. I just don't think that's the play. There's just no good that can come out of this. You're forcing it down mid. You're brute forcing this shit and trying to bank on rage bait, in my opinion. I think they might be trying to like hide behind the guise of, oh guys, we're trying to tell such a important theme of, you know, injustices in the world and that slavery is bad. Sure, okay, but everyone already knows that. I think that you are hiding behind this fake campaign and trying to just rage bait the engagement.
You're not telling me this was not intentional, what's going on here. And now I see what this is being used for. Now I see what the product of Kakegurui is being used for. And I hate it.
Yeah. Also, this may make even more sense of why there's 2 live action adaptation, because the Japanese live action I hear was great. I hear that they were able to capture the overall themes and what the vision of the original story was in the anime, and they did it well. Why do a second one? Because they just want to fucking use political agenda as a shield and to just create negative engagement. They never actually cared about delivering a good story. They never actually cared about the source material. They're like, oh shit. Someone on there was like, on the marketing team was probably like, I know a way to make people really mad and to profit off of this.
This is what the gaming community has been going through. Like, this is exactly the same
the DEI
thing.
stuff,
like,
right?
Having games taken over by people that want to spread agenda from both sides, clarification, but taking it over with agenda and trying to force a political message.
Like Concord, I think, was one of those things, right? Rather than focusing on good video games, they're trying to have like a political undertone, right? Because clearly the people, the developers and the people working on these games have a separate agenda at play. And when they launch, it turns out the average, gamer doesn't want to be reminded of political messaging in their video games. They're just playing because they just want to have fun. So and they all just flop. And it's so beautiful to see all these like quote unquote woke games. And I don't really like to use woke or DEI because I think it's a little bit cringe, but it is absolutely a thing that's happened. So many different examples like Concord and so on, where they just focused on like having, oh, these video game characters should look a certain way rather than be hypersexualized. They're going to look like the average person, but it turns out the average person wants to use video games as an escapism and wants to look at pretty things. So when you have, when you're trying to like appeal to the modern audience by making these game characters be like quote unquote ugly or even out of shape and fat, like it just makes no sense. So, like, what did you think was going to happen? Do you think that the fans actually wanted it? It's a big gamble they did, but it failed.
Why? And now the more I see this, the more I just it all clicks together. It's exactly like the Scooby-Doo situation with Velma.
Yes, and Velma, oh my goodness. If you guys don't know about the Velma situation, Chibi, give it to me.
And how Velma was literally created because it's like whoever worked on it, they hated Scooby-Doo, and they used Velma as a way to completely crap on the original source and only as a vehicle or a vessel to be able to tell their own message, their own story with a property that already had recognition, because they don't have the talent enough to create their own story to get recognition. And
that shit was, I haven't seen it, but I remember seeing clips of it, and it was just so overtly obnoxious. And the creator, the writer for Velma, was very intentional with the messaging as well. They were not trying to hide it. They were trying to be in your face and be overtly obnoxious and piss you off, right? They were banking on the negative engagement, and a lot of eyes were put on it. But guess what? That shit gets canceled because the notion that all publicity is good publicity is just false. Everyone wants to check out a dumpster fire. Does that mean they're going to support the dumpster fire? No. Just because there's more engagement happening doesn't mean that this is going to be long-lasting and sustainable or even like profitable.
And in this case, that's exactly what's happening here. The people working on this live-action adaptation of Kakegurui and calling it BAITS are literally piggybacking off of the success of Kakegurui, just so they can tell their own story, but set in the same world, and basically turn it into a husk or a shell of what it formerly was.
Absolutely. Again, there is a literal live-action adaptation for this anime already, and it's great, I heard. There is no reason to have another version of this shit. It's very intentional what they're doing here.
This is so disrespectful, and I cannot believe whoever signed off on this. This is some wild stuff. What's even crazier about this, by the way, and, you know, I'm not even getting into the outfit situation, which I've talked about already, you know, a few days ago. But what's even more wild about this situation is if you take a look to the right of the screen, you will see a video being recommended in my feed called Live Action versus Anime Kakegurui Netflix Anime, released 4 years ago with 1.2 million views. And if I pull this up, you will literally see the actual Japanese live action adaptation compared with the anime. And even though it's not perfect, it definitely replicates the atmosphere or the character designs and everything a lot better than, let's say, what the Western version of Kakegurui is about. It is legitimately disrespectful.
Because again, right, the Japanese version had a clear goal to tell the story, but through live action. The Western version does not care. They're using Kakegurui as an excuse to hide behind a political agenda that slavery is bad, but that's a theme that is very rhetorical and everyone knows it. And now they're trying to rage bait with it, just like the Harry Potter situation I mentioned.
Respectful, just seeing what they are doing to this cast of characters, and the more and more I look at it, the more I just see there is so much maliciousness in this adaptation that the people.
I like her though. The blue lipstick, it's kind of nice.
People working on this, there's probably too.
What the hell is this, bro? Okay, this girl, pretty nice. What the hell is this? I just feel like this isn't capturing the essence of this character here anyways.
Motivations. Either it is a money laundering scheme to be able to launder money for Netflix. That's my personal headcanon. But if not that, which is more of a serious answer I'm going to say, it's probably someone that is very disgruntled and they're not really talented whatsoever. They got into the writing room and
like this character kind of looks okay too, right? Like this one, the eye patch, this one with the mask. That's crazy that this character literally just has a mask like that, huh? Anyway, this is just like a COVID mask.
Whatsoever. They got into the writing room and they realized that they had.
And, you know, the main character too, she looks fine. It's just, again, the intentional choice of this character, Rio, here, right? And I feel bad for the actor. I feel bad because they're probably getting so much hate thrown their way, right? And it's so ignorant to hate this person. It's not really their fault. They're just trying to make, you know, the most out of an opportunity that's been presented. But I wonder if they're aware that there is clear, like you are literally being used as a pawn in this shameless way of hiding behind the political agenda while trying to rage bait people, right? Like same with like the Severus Snape situation with Harry Potter, right? Like it's just, and even like the mermaid. Remember this? Y'all remember this one? I remember how upset people were about this shit. And there was so much discourse and arguing happening because, and the worst part is, I think it's so obvious what Disney was trying to do with this. They're trying to rage bait. Is it a bad thing that a person of color is playing the role of Little Mermaid? Absolutely not. There is nothing inherently bad about diversity roles or, people of color playing different roles. But the issue is when it's intentionally used to create outrage and to divide the masses to keep talking about it, now you have people on the left calling people on the right and the center a bunch of racists that like, oh, you're just hating on it because the Little Mermaid is black now. But it's like, not really. In the original show, right? Little Mermaid, what the hell is this? There's an Asian version of the Little Mermaid too? I didn't even know. Anyways, there was so much. I'm getting worried. Maybe I should stop clicking now. I'm getting a little bit worried to see what kind of different fucking movies are going there. I feel like this is a different porn spinoff. But basically, what I'm trying to say is these massive corporations are so good at causing political divide amongst the masses to fight against each other, right? These identity politics of people just like literally getting mad at each other and just throwing shit at each other when they should be painfully aware that we are literally getting played by these big corporations. They're dividing us using, these racial tones, these identity politics, so that they can just create more engagement. And it's just so sad. It is so sad. And I also feel bad for the actors who has to fucking be the center of attention, as many people are now going to say, why the fuck is Snape black and stuff like that, right? I can't imagine the amount of vitriol and hate that they're also receiving when at the end of the day, they're just being used by pawns, by corporations just to feed off the rage bait.
To write something similar to Kakegurui, but they can do a little bit different. But they're literally piggybacking off the success of the series just so they can get their series greenlit, because Kakegurui is popular on Netflix. And it's gross, man. Like, I've already talked in depth about the.
And the craziest thing is, there's gonna be such stupid and ignorant people that will call Chibi racist for this, because they themselves don't fully understand the context, or they refuse to even acknowledge the context, and they're being disingenuous. They will slander him and says, oh my god, Chibi got mad because a black person is, playing a role of a character in Kakegurui. I can't believe this. I always knew it. Like, you see how it's so easy to just be so intellectually dishonest, to slander people based off of these ignorant takes? And the worst part is, many people do this shit intentionally. Like, they know that he's not racist, right? They know, but they'll fucking do it anyways, because again, so many people are genuinely that dumb that they'll believe the headlines.
Cosplay and the outfit designs and stuff, like the mask, for instance, this COVID mask. I don't think I need to get back into that, but it's just, they did not try, and the more that surfaces about this adaptation, the more I look at it and it's put under a microscope, the more it's very clear what it's trying to do. It's trying to do, like, some political message, it's trying to push, like, agenda, and it's like, this has no business being even associated with Kakegurui. It has no business whatsoever. It's extremely disrespectful. And when I see scenes like this, it's very clear what the show is going to be focusing on. And even if I disregard this, we got to talk.
This scene is, again, just absolutely insane. What's even happening here? There's a shitload of people, and this guy's in like a boar mask. And they're all chasing after the one black guy who has duct taped over, but money is also in his mouth. What the hell is the context?
Talk about just the acting in general. Like, I mean, this alone. Like, listen to this.
Bingo!
Now, just look at how bad this one is.
Bingo!
They really, for a fact that when they did
Royal
this, like,
Flush!
that's it. They only allowed her to do one take. This is like a one take thing right here. Like,
yeah.
Listen.
Scary, edgy, man. Very edgy.
I'll leave it at that.
That's pretty much it. My final takeaway from this is that these corporations are shamelessly aware of what they're doing, but they're going to do it anyways. And what are they doing? Hiding behind a political message, which makes a lot of sense, right? Slavery is bad. Everybody knows that. But there's a way that you can utilize this and use it in such a disingenuous way. You hide behind these virtues. You hide behind it like a shield. And now if you criticize this anime, suddenly you are racist because they're hiding behind the political messages. Anyone that is reasonable enough to actually understand what's happening, I think could figure out that, yes, slavery is bad, but that's not what you're trying to do with this movie. You are trying to hide behind that messaging and trying to cast people of color into roles where they become literal slaves and they're the only slaves to create outrage and to make people fucking mad and for people to talk about it. And we are talking about it. But at the end of the day, all publicity doesn't mean it's good publicity. Just look at the Velma situation. Everybody wants to see a dumpster fire happen. Does that mean the dumpster buyer is going to be successful? No. Please check out Chibi's video. Here is a link to the video and go give it a like if you did. Check out their other content for even more anime related news like that. There's so much soul leveling stuff going on that I need to really check out, but I'll probably do some research on my end and then watch his videos. See you next time.